5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, this is it.
It's the Romello Marcellus Show. The fly uncle you always wish you had.
Bring them out.
Here to give you every aspect of game from a real player's perspective.
It's the biggest boss
From business, entertainment, love, and life,
Had to find my inner power.
to fashion, etiquette, and current events.
Major show alert.
All to enhance the happiness already inside you.
Today is about the power of you.
Check it out.
You're now rocking with the best.
Here I am, God damn it. Welcome to the Romello Marcellus Show. I am he and he is me. You know, we're here again. And yeah, there's no better place to be than here with me. And I'm sure you guys know that by now. So yeah. Mm-hmm. One second. Damn. I'm hating that this is happening. All right, welcome. We clear. Can you hear me? Let me know if you can hear me. Throw a thumbs up. Welcome to the Romello Marcellus Show once again. I am he and he is me. Yeah, man. Want to start off, man. I actually had did a post this morning. I woke up and had an epiphany about how we as people we latch on to anything. And we follow anything without really doing our homework. The actual blunt of what I was saying earlier or this morning in my post was about how people follow people without really doing the homework. And the post was about the Aryans and in their brotherhood. When in all actuality, had they really done their homework, they would understand that the first Aryan was a black man. Shows you how many people actually do their homework, as opposed to just jumping into things and you have no idea. If you're just joining the show tonight, man, it's a continuum of what I've been discussing for the last couple of days. I mean, just understanding where we are as a people in our relationships goes a long way, man. You know, we all strive to be the best representation or best representatives of ourselves as we step into relationships with people. But we sometimes fall short. There's an adage that says you shouldn't put new wine into old skins. That means you have to work with replacing the skin that you're in, meaning cleansing from within to give you balance. And most are not willing to do that. You know, life is short. And we're taking that thing for granted, man, because we're not willing to do the work when it matters. People are leaving us, man, left and right. I don't know whether or not you follow Sex and the City. Willie Garrison, he passed also today, 57 years old, along with AJ Johnson and a few other people. As I said last night, if we measure for every 2 weeks or week within the last couple of months or to a year, We've been losing people like that, going away. Question is, how much time do you have to waste? You know, just want to ramble a little bit, man. The things that kind of caught my eye, and even with the epiphany that I had this morning, I'm bothered. I'm bothered by having to concern myself with other people's fragility that don't give a shit about mine or my people. You look at it, even in this day and age, the atrocity the insult that, and the audacity that some people have to do some of the things that they're doing. I believe that we should help everyone that we can in a coexisting situation, but you cannot, or you should not be required to accept certain things when you've been wronged in the midst. I state the fact that we've been at war over in Afghanistan for over 20 years now, damn near 20 years. And we've lost thousands of people over there. But yet and still, the minute they have their issue there, we're ushering over 150,000 refugees into this country. Unvetted, unvaxxed. We don't know who we have here. But at the same token, they'll come in and get all of the afforded rights that my ancestors and a lot of you all's ancestors have shed tears and blood and everything else for. But yet and still, not a stone's throw away from here, you have people that look like us, our distant brothers or sisters and cousins, our skin folk, being herded like cattle under a bridge with men on horses and whips, like it's friggin' 1705 or some crazy shit, you know, and it's ridiculous. So, yeah, I was bothered this morning by my post and about how people jump on the wagons and they don't do their homework. And I think that somebody should be saying no. So here, I'm saying no tonight to that bullshit. If the Haitians can't come, those Afghan refugees shouldn't come either. If we're going to open it up, play fair. Give those people an opportunity to afford them the same opportunity you can ready to afford these people for your unilateral political bullshit. If you're going to play fair, play fair. All right? Because you're going to come over here and slap them on the welfare rolls. They'll get the same benefits or more. They'll become first-class citizens while we're still in this country as second and third-class cattle. Because we're still on the books as animal. Yeah. A lot to say. But I'm not going to hold the night up with that. I just want to touch that. That's how I'm feeling. And moving right along, man, we're going to get into it. Last night we talked about the shit show dating scene, right? But a lot of y'all are already in relationships, have been there and been through some things in life, you know, gone from one abuse to the other, or you're settling for a different evil. You know, even with yourself, you've allotted, how do I say it? Your idiosyncrasies, your coping mechanisms to carry you from one place to the next. So here's my question for tonight, right? Do you know what's harder than a toxic relationship? Do you know what's harder than a toxic relationship? That's my question. Do you know what's harder than a toxic relationship? Most don't. Most don't have a clue. I'll wait. We got a few minutes. Let some people get in the room. Do you know what's harder than a toxic relationship? Do you know what's harder than a toxic relationship? I do. I do. I'll tell you what it is. No, I'm gonna give you a second. I want y'all to figure it out. No, I ain't gonna wait long. I'll tell you what. This is what's harder than a toxic relationship. It's your first breath of fresh air, your first healthy relationship that you have after the toxic one. See, while you're moving around, the hardest part, or the thing that makes it so hard, is being able to, or putting yourself in a position to unlearn all of the toxic behaviors and the coping mechanisms that you use to keep you safe in the midst of those relationships. The lies, the deception, the withholding of feelings and emotions because you don't want to let yourself go down a certain road to put you in a position where you feel unsafe or insecure. Hell, whether it's your medications to medicate yourself through the things, or the lacks that you think that you're receiving in a relationship, the drinking, if you, whatever your vices may be, could be shopping, could be sex with others, or you could be a subtle individual and cooking might be your vice. But hey, we ain't really talking about that. We know when you're in toxic situations, it's always an extreme when it comes to your coping mechanisms. There are people who have actually had abusive relationships when they were children, and when they become adults, anyone that does not abuse them in the way that they were abused when they were children, they may view them as being better than what they were accustomed to receiving. And the individuals are merely supplying the bare minimums, if that. Hang on. Okay. Someone came and he says, this is why seeing a therapist is important. Most people do not properly heal after a very tough relationship. They may take some time, distract themselves, go on vacay, and that's healing to them. But it takes a professional to determine your mental health. You cannot self-diagnose. Going into another relationship, talking about unlearning toxic shit from the past. No, unlearn it before you get into another relationship. And that's the proper thing to do, because, hey, once you're there, you're there. And you just can't turn your heart off like a light switch. I don't care how hard you are if you invest any of that. He says, I'm tired of dealing with women that have so many issues they bring into the dating process. And I'm supposed to understand and be patient while they work through it. No, go see a therapist before you call yourself dating someone else, please. I got to side with the brother, man. Yeah. I mean, that happens. You got to, the song Bag Lady, man, you got to drop that, because trust me, you'll throw your back out with that, carrying all that weight and all that baggage. Go talk to somebody. It's cool to have an unbiased opinion when you're going through something. A lot of times you can't bring these things to people that you quote unquote know you, or because they're not going to, a lot of times you can't expect an unbiased opinion. So it could make matters worse. Okay, here we go. She says, yes and no. I went to therapy and it helped. Definitely. But you don't realize how many toxic coping mechanisms you yourself taught yourself until you get into your next relationship. Here I was thinking I'm healed and I'm over my past, which I was for the most part. But I'm still afraid to speak up when I need help or not getting enough rest at night, because I thought I had to be the only one doing everything. So maybe it should be said that we continue therapy, or to do the work to reverse the learned behaviors, even when we get in relationships, and don't assume she hasn't healed if she's still in therapy. You might miss your blessing. Yeah. I mean, listen, every individual we meet, we come in contact with, usually the relationships or the vetting process is episodical. and I said this earlier, when you deal with episodes, it's just like watching a show. If you haven't followed from the beginning, or you didn't get the beginning of what began or occurred, you have to go back and catch up. And a lot of times, because you've already began in the middle of the show, the beginning is not going to give you the continuity to understand where you've met this individual, because you weren't there from the beginning. So you didn't get all the emotions, the feelings, the passions, and all of that kind of stuff of what that individual has gone through. The only thing you could probably mirror is a form of empathy. Not apathy, but empathy. Yeah. Hang on. She says, this one says, not only is relationship issues, it's mixed in daddy and mom issues, trust issues, abuse as a child. What type of relationship as a child did you see flourish or deteriorating relationship with mom or mom and dad? Or was the parent even around to give some light on relationships? Feelings were unresolved issues through growing up that affects our relationships as well. Not only the actual relationship, all of this plays a part in how we handle our relationships. Yeah. I mean, I was saying that it depends on who you are and where you've come from. Yeah, it's tough out here, man. Carolee Barbie says, I could say the same thing about men. Tell me how many men seek therapy after a toxic relationship. They just move on to the next. I've met men with plenty of baggage. Well, I mean, I'm not dividing the line. We've all, as humans, we got baggage, but it's just whether we're willing to offload, or are we that needy for stimulus or stimuli that we have to crash into one another. And usually when you crash, there is an evolution of impact that could be good or bad. Depends on who's receiving it. Hang on. RJ says, after my divorce, I took almost 2 years before I even had sex with another woman. I cut all ties to the idea of being with someone else, not until I dealt with me. No sex, no dates, no communication, not even a cup of coffee. Okay, he's on some monk shit. Go ahead, homie. Let me finish reading this. I need to purge myself of any toxic behavior or thoughts because I didn't want to take any baggage into anything else. No preconceived notions, no expectations, nothing. That was therapeutic for me. I needed that more than I could ever admit to. That was my way of healing. Strong brother. I take my hat off to you. Yeah. Yeah. Welcome. If you're just joining the show, man, tonight's topic is, do you know what's harder than a toxic relationship? That's what we're talking about. Do you know what's harder than a toxic relationship? Most don't have a clue, because a lot of times, man, we're caught out there and the balance is off. You got to have focus. You got to have balance. You got to love you. If you don't love you, how the hell can you love anybody else or expect someone to love you? If you don't know how to love you, how can you share the information on how someone else should love you? Yeah. Nikki writes, I could write a book on this. I recently told my friend that one of the hardest things in the world for me right now is to receive the fact he genuinely likes me, wants me, and adores me. After 18 years of two failed relationships, I don't know what to do with a man. I don't know what to do with a man that has pleasantly exceeded everything and anything I could ever dreamed of. I literally have to tell myself every day that I deserve greatness in my life and I deserve to be treated in a way that elevates me in every way. He does that and more, and I definitely reciprocated. Hey, there are people out there that are subtle saboteurs. They're still caught up in the fact that they don't believe that they should receive the best. There's someone out here for everyone that's going to genuinely love you the way that you need to be loved. The question is, are you ready to receive it? Are you ready to give it? Or are you still operating in fear? If you're operating in fear, man, you've already lost the war, the battle, and everything you'll ever have will be temporary and fleeting, you know? Healing is key. Knowing you need to take time to heal, but you also know what role you play in any relationship, including a toxic one. Yeah, knowing your role saves a lot of headache. She's got a response. Hang on. He responds, no offense intended here, but it'd probably be best to go see a therapist if you aren't already. You won't be able to do this on your own. Simply telling yourself you deserve the greatest isn't enough, especially when you're not at your greatest. If you were, you wouldn't be feeling this way. Furthermore, how can you expect to meet a great man when you aren't at your best? You want a man that's healed, great, and ready, but you're not. You're still second guessing, hesitating, side eyeing, and doubting. It's not fair to the men you meet to have to deal with your issues you haven't dealt with from your past. I tell my male clients the same thing when they sound like you. Hopefully you received that and didn't take offense. Well, hopefully she didn't take any offense either. We as Black people, we run away from the clinical aspect of therapy. We've always been told, hey, go to the church, go talk to the pastor, go talk to the deacon, go talk to the queen mother, whatever the case may be. But we've never been really steered to go to talk to someone who's clinically trained in helping people to decompress. And, usually when that happens, we're taught to say that, okay, you're crazy. You don't want them people in your business. You don't blah, blah, blah. You don't want them programming you, making you feel some kind of way. But maybe that's something that should be explored, to have a therapist, someone who can just listen to you. They don't know you, but they can give you some sort of insight and some sort of exercises to help to relieve or to release those things that have you off balance. Look into it, people. Do your homework. Read. Everything's in the book, man. You got to read it and disseminate and discern for yourself. Get your own understanding, Hang on. Sherry, she says, getting into my first real argument with the person I love and felt safe with was extremely difficult after rebuilding my life back from an abusive and violent marriage. I was stuck in a bubble for a couple of weeks after the argument. I had to reframe my mind and bring myself back to present. Do all the steps my therapist guided me to do. See, therapist. It's truly unfortunate that when you have been hurt so much, only you can heal yourself. No one else. You have to want it and fight for it. Yeah. I just said it. Sometimes, man, we all need each other. We all need some sort of help every now and again. And we can't negate the fact that no man or woman is an island. It's just facts. You got to be willing to go get the help, man. You know, William says, now this is a real convo to be had. I've been both the toxic person and the recipient of the toxic behavior too. It's interesting what you learn, unlearn, and what becomes defense and coping mechanisms. You know, what do we do? You know, what do we what are some of the coping mechanisms that people put into place to deal with the things that they're dealing with in a relationship? You know, omitting things, hiding things, you know, not expressing yourself when you should be expressing, or not as being assertive enough, or asserting yourself too much, you know. And in the quiet times, you're not loving on each other enough. Yeah, that appreciation thing, man, it goes a long way. You have to be willing to do it. If not, you will lose yourself. All right. Just know, man, people love you, man. You know, you're not out here by yourself. Trust me, people love you. You know, go get that. Go get the love you need, man. The love you deserve, man. Go get that. Shame, man, that there's a lot of people walking around this. They're hurting. They're hurting. And I said hurt people, and I mean that in the serious of ways nowadays. You know, people are shit. Y'all ever seen that movie, The Burning Bed? Y'all better stop putting your hands on these women out here if y'all out here doing that. You goofies. I wonder if Faison still got that number up. Yeah. See, COVID brought out a lot of things in folks, man, because you were trapped in the house with folks for a good little while that you found out that you didn't like, and you were in situations where you had baggage and stuff going on, and hey, you couldn't get out. Hopefully that was a wake-up call for you. Yeah. Hold on. Okay, Mike says this one takes the cake. A lot of these coping mechanisms are ingrained, that they're reflective or reflexive. You find yourself starting shit you didn't mean to because a phrase or a situation triggered your PTSD. There you go. That's the first. And that is true. A lot of us are walking around with PTSD from our childhood to the marriage we had, to the, you know, to the bullying in the playground, a lot of different things. So, you know, you have to be willing to shed it. If you're just joining the room, the topic tonight is, do you know what's harder than a toxic relationship? That answer is your first healthy relationship. Being in a position where you have to unlearn all of the negative coping mechanisms that you utilize to maintain or grow your relationship. Now, the gentleman was saying, you can find yourself in a phrase or situation that triggered your PTSD. That's from your past relationships or whatever. And you end up spending half the night walking shit back and apologizing. Even with therapy, it takes time to break down those negative reflexes. And you have to have a partner who is patient and willing to work with you to undo the mind fuck that's been done to you. Yeah. Even if you take time to heal, that doesn't mean that you're going to be healed, because it's like an athlete. Athlete get injured on the field. Okay. They do the operation. You go through rehab, but you got to work the joint, the tendon, the muscle, whatever it is, to get it back into shape to where it's going to function properly, hopefully better than it ever did. And the same thing is applicable to relationships. If you're out of practice, you've been hurt, you've been abused, or you never knew how to love, because a lot of people, they don't know how to love. They don't know their love languages. They don't know what they should be doing or what they should be giving or not. Yeah. So yeah, you have to be willing to walk through it, and you got to have someone who's willing to walk through it with you. Twain Black says it takes a special level of maturity to identify the need for emotional, mental assistance. Hey, man, you know, the saying, even a dog gets tired. And they get tired enough, they'll snap your ass. Same thing with an individual that you may step in somewhere and you're broken, but you were selfish in involving yourself with them. This is what I was saying to you, even retrospectively last evening. This is why a lot of the dating is a shit show. You have hurt people looking to latch on to someone that's going to make them feel good temporarily until they begin to hurt them or put them in a position where they're uncomfortable and there's discomfort and discourse. Again, all because you chose not to heal yourself or seek help in healing yourself so that you can relinquish those bad habits that will destroy your potentially great relationship. Day says, I was in a toxic relationship for almost 20 years. I had so many triggers. I knew I was driving myself crazy. I went to therapy and did the work on myself. The guy I'm with now is such a complete opposite from my previous relationship that sometimes I wonder when the next shoe is going to drop. How many of us have done that? Ladies, how many of you have done that? How many of you have been lied, used, abused, and every person that you come in contact with, you just, all right, I'm just waiting for this motherfucker to lie. I'm just waiting for him to show this person. I'm waiting for him to find out that he's cheating or doing this or doing that. I'm waiting for him to yell at me. I'm waiting for him to smack me across the face or do some old funky ass shit to you. You know, I said that you have what you say you have, and you can profess it in your soul, and you'll attract that right to you. An individual may not even have that intent to do those things to you, but because of what you're carrying, that spirit, you attract that spirit, and you'll bring that spirit out of an individual that has no intent to do those things to you or with you, because you're constantly still living that past act, that past thing that happened to you. Yeah. She continues, waiting for the other shoe to drop, or why is he here? Because I don't deserve him. Why don't you deserve him? That's the bigger question. Why don't you deserve him? Respond to that. She says, I still every now and then have those negative self-talks. The good thing is he and I communicate openly, and he knows my past and my triggers. This is the third time that I've heard this or read this tonight. Triggers. Do many of us know our triggers? Do many of us recognize that we have triggers, things that set us off or set us in motion to do things that we're not normally about doing? Yeah. Shame. Hang on. Nicole's once again says, people learn patterns. So if you had someone lying every time they said they went to the store or worked late, when that actually happens in a non-toxic relationship, you automatically think what you're prone to think, even if it's a different person. Yes, no one should pay for past mistakes of another individual, but to erase that and start with a new slate is difficult. People from toxic relationships often require constant reassurance in a new one in order to let that guard down. But do you think that's fair to the individual who came into this unknowing day one? Go back to the shit show, the dating. Most people will not put that on the table to say, look, man, I was in abusive relationships. Motherfuckers lied to me. They done a lot of things. And I'm working through my issues. And I'm not going to be perfect. I'm not a trusting individual right now. I have trust issues. I have all of these issues. You're not willing to put those baggage on the table at dinner. Most people want to sit there. They want to laugh. They want to feel good. They want to have the moment, and that's not fair. You've actually made that person a victim of your circumstance, an unknowing participant. Yeah. Dre says truth, 100%. Lo says, totally agree. It is extremely difficult to trust again and believe everything they do and say is real. I haven't been in a good relationship in a long time. It feels like I relive the same toxic relationships, but with a different person. I focus on the positive and disregard the negative in a relationship, and it results in self-inflicting pain emotionally by staying longer. Well, this is true in a lot of ways. People will hurt themselves, man. That's bad when you're in a relationship with someone and they're hurt so bad, or they're hurting and they're carrying so much that they're willing to hurt themselves, even with indulging in things like drink and smoke and a lot of different things, man, that can continue to alter the state of that individual mentally, physically, spiritually. Yeah. Kay says 8 years married to a narcissistic personality, apart for 2 years, thought I was ready for what's next, but 5 months into a primary relationship with a great connection and outstanding sensual sex, I couldn't need him the way he wanted me. I couldn't need him the way he wanted to be needed. Okay, there you go. Myself, protective defenses still on high alert. He called it quits. Big sigh of sadness. And yes, I had been to a therapist for a year or two. Joy says, no one comes into a relationship without some baggage. Who we are is based all on our experiences. It becomes unhealthy when you do not recognize what is a trigger from the past and direct those hurts on the person in front of you. Yeah. Happens all the time. All the time. Well, I guess we all have to feel safe while we're moving, but it shouldn't be at the expense of someone else. Any relationship is an investment. If you're not willing to lose something, then don't put it on the table, i.e. you too. Dan says, it's true. Toxic relationships add to the insecure attachment styles, and you'll most likely self-sabotage the relationship or hopefully learn to be okay. There's a lot of us out here that we're self-saboteurs. We do that. We'll sabotage ourselves for fear of overextending ourselves in something that can cause us long-term hurt. And anything that reminds us of the hurt before, and it looks familiar to us, and it feels like that, we respond in kind, which is not cool, because a lot of times you have to get the facts. You can't play the game from the sideline and expect to win the game. You got to be in the game. Dan says, this is so true. I'm almost 3 years into a healthy relationship, and I still stress myself out trying to do everything by myself or giving myself impossible timelines to get everything done around the house, bills, childcare, cleaning, etc. And it's mainly because I'm still not used to not having to do it all by myself in my previous toxic relationship. He often he often has to physically hold my hand and say, "Babe, I got it. Stop worrying." Hey, a lot of times we have to wake up and recognize that we do have someone in the game with us. They want to put some skin in the game with it. They're just not looking to take from you. You know, Ron's rebut is his response, or excuse me, his this. Here we go. I was definitely in a toxic relationship. I lived 2 hours away from her, but sometimes you get sucked in by, let's be honest, great sex. Happens to the fellas all the time. You also get sucked in by the behavior outside of their faults when they are sober and not giving you irreversible relationship hell. Basically, I was in a dysfunctional marriage, then a toxic relationship afterwards. The answer for me is not that I need to unlearn a coping mechanism, because I have treated new relationships as that. The baggage of me coping is not there because I try to select my next relationship differently from the past. Therefore, she isn't the same type of woman, and I'm not the same man I used to be. Hopefully, it makes sense to whomever reads this answer. Yeah, motherfucker, you're a unicorn. You're a unicorn. Yeah. If you're just joining, man, the topic tonight is, do you know what's harder than a toxic relationship? The answer is your first non-toxic relationship, because you have to unlearn all of the coping mechanisms that were used to cope in your last abusive relationships. Someone says our judgments, biases, and thought processes are dependent on how we have been handled in our past. We have to question if these things are a liability or an asset for what we say we want out of life. Hey, it is an investment. It's the corporation of you. And when you merge these corporations, you have to take the liability along with everything else. Is the cost too great for you? Is the cost too much? Too high? You got to recognize that. Lauren says PTSD is a son of a bitch. I remember my first healthy relationship after an emotional abusive one. My new BF texted me a picture of me and a male friend colleague from Facebook that was probably 8 years old, asking me if I could get him a similar jacket to what my friend was wearing. I teach at the same high school where my new BF graduated from, so he wanted a jacket from his alma mater. But at first, all I saw was the picture. In my head, I flashed back to my ex, who regularly messaged me about super old pictures on Facebook and would trip over them. So when the new BF sent the picture, I immediately got frustrated, and that dreadful feeling in the pit of my stomach welled up. Until I saw the words he wrote asking about the jacket, I then relaxed and felt thankful I wasn't in that other relationship anymore. Yeah, anything can jar your triggers and bring on your PTSD of your last relations. You have to be mindful. You have to be, on your guard. You have to be in constant heal mode. You have to be understanding. You have to be more communicative. You have to talk. Okay. So, yeah. Man, I feel for folks, man, that can't get beyond those things, man, that have had those things happen to them where they were abused as children or even as adults or coming through, as teenagers in their first relationships without really having an understanding of how a man should treat a woman or how a woman should treat a man. And, that goes both ways. Lena says you don't just unlearn toxic behaviors or accepting of those. That is why it's imperative to heal. Seek help through professionals going through therapy. Toxic acceptance or displaying of those behaviors are deeply rooted. They don't just start with a relationship. Once healed, it's not a fear to begin again and open your heart. Most people refuse to acknowledge that they need healing too. Yeah, if you've been hurt, man, you need heal. You need time to heal. You need to a reprieve. You need to clear the mechanism. Sometimes it's hard to realize that the individual that you were before didn't hurt you. And I think the pride inside of us sometimes too also exacerbates that, because the one major component in healing is to forgive yourself or to recognize that it's not your fault. Shit happens. Got to move on. They weren't worthy. Okay. Look here. I'll say this, man. And all you're doing, man, just do the best you can do to be the best you can be. That's all you can offer. If it's too much for you to bear, there's nothing wrong with pulling back, man. Whoever you're with, they'll understand. They'll respect you more for taking the time to heal yourself as opposed to going on because you don't want to lose the opportunity with an individual. Because in all actuality, man, you got to think about it. A lot of times, man, you might think you want somebody, but once you've been through it with them and it's over, you realize you really didn't want them. You just wanted the idea of them and not so much the responsibility of them. And yeah, man, you got to look at it like that. Yeah. Shit. And all you're getting, man, get you some understanding, get you some help. Get you some help. Pray about it. Get you a regimen to clear your mind. Move on through life, man, the way it is. And give the very thing you want to receive, man. If it's love, give love. Don't be afraid. Allow a person to show you as soon as possible who they are. Don't allow a person to crouch and encroach on your time and your energies, because people will do that too. And they don't mean you any good. Okay? Yeah. Get you some exercises, man, to unlearn those behaviors. Okay? Yeah. I tell you what. Tomorrow's topic, man, is going to be about the man/woman in the mirror. That's debate. I'm not going to give you the switch until tomorrow. So when you see the ads, man, I'll let them run early. You'll get the switch later. Matter of fact, I'll throw clues out there. And see what your responses are. If you like this, man, click like, man. Let me see. Click the like button. Subscribe to me. Follow me on IG. Follow me on Facebook, on YouTube. Subscribe. Click like. Yeah. The addresses are all right here at the bottom, man. Scrolling across your big, beautiful screen that you have at home. I'm sure you got the 86-inch or 89-inch or 100-inch screen. You back there on the lawn watching. Yeah. So, yeah, click like, man. Follow me. I'll follow back. I'll never get too big where I won't click the button. Yeah, I show love everywhere I go. So, yeah. Get you some help. Get you some therapy. Get on your way. Crazy times coming. Best time to start a business. Start it. Any idea you got? Hey, man, it ain't crazy. They thought Noah was crazy until it began to rain. And all you're getting, get the fuck off my line.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, this is it.
It's the Romello Marcellus Show, the fly uncle you always wish you had.
Bring 'em out.
Here to give you every aspect of game from a real player's perspective.
It's the biggest boss
From business, entertainment, love, and life,
Had to find my inner power.
to fashion, etiquette, and current events.
Major show alert.
All to enhance the happiness already inside you.
Today is about the power of you.
Check it out.
You're now rocking with the best.